Welcome to the No Tracers podcast. My name is Kay Anagonio, and I am your host here on this podcast. I don't know how often it's going to be posted. Might be weekly, might be a couple a month, but we're going to see. We're going to find out. I do have another podcast called Project Freelance that comes out every Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys are looking for more content from me, definitely go check out the Project Freelance podcast. I highly recommend it to everybody that is an entrepreneur or a self-employed individual. But this is the No Tracers podcast, so let's get into it. If you guys were unaware, this podcast is about exploring abandoned places. It's about urban exploration. Let's be real. This is what I love to do when I'm not freelancing, and it's my passion, you know? And I actually have been doing it for about the past 4 years. Well, I've been documenting it for the past 4 years, but I've been doing it since I was a kid. The intro episode, that is the episode that came out before this one, actually dives into how I got started and kind of a crazy story about how I got started urban exploring. But if you guys are interested, I have a book out about urban exploring. It's called No Tracers, an Urban Explorer's Diary. And if you guys are interested, go to JustTheLetterK.com/No Tracers and pick up a copy, and I'll actually sign it for you. There's a link down in the description that will take you straight there. So don't worry, you don't have to memorize anything. Just click on the link and go there. So this week on the podcast, I'm going to be talking to you guys about gear that I think is necessary for exploring abandoned places. And I will be putting links down in the description to Amazon for you guys if you want to pick any of this stuff up. I know that right now during this COVID-19 quarantine, you can't really order things. Things are on backlog. So that sucks. But whenever we're out of this quarantine, whenever this outbreak is over, definitely pick up some of this stuff. The links will be down in the description, like I said. All right, let's jump into this podcast about gear. All right, so the first and possibly the most important piece of gear you can have with you while exploring an abandoned place is a respirator, a ventilator, some sort of gas mask situation, something that is going to keep your lungs safe. So when we explore these abandoned places, a lot of times there are things like asbestos, there are dust particles in the air, there could be some toxic chemicals. You just don't know whenever you're going into an abandoned place what you're going to find and what's going to be there. So I think it's super, super important to have a mask with you, whether that be a cotton mask, a fabric mask, a 3M mask. You can pick those up at Home Depot. Those are respirators that construction workers wear. Those will work. I wear an Oxypura mask underneath my ventilator, actually. So there are multiple different things you can do, but like I said, I'll put some links down in the description for you guys if you are interested in picking up a ventilator, a respirator, a gas mask, anything like that. I'll put a couple different options down in the description for you. And the next thing that I think is super important for you to bring is something that I oftentimes forget to bring, actually, which is a light. I think you should have a light with you because a lot of these places are pretty dark, and if you're going to be trying to create content, you're going to need a light. So I'm going to put a light down in the description for you guys that I think is highly recommended. It's just a hot shoe attachment, so it attaches on top of your camera where the flash would go, and I think that will help a lot. If you don't have the funds for that, you can just pick up a headlamp, and that'll suffice for the time being. But like I said, a lot of these places are dark, so you're going to want a light, and I don't think your iPhone light is going to do a good enough job of illuminating the area that you're in. So I definitely highly recommend you get a light for your urban exploration trips. And the next thing I'm going to say is that you need a good bag. And here's the thing about urban explorers. We all have our different preferences on bags. Some people bring smaller bags. Some people bring bigger bags. I actually bring a pretty big bag with me whenever I go exploring. I have a Wandered PRVKE 21 liter bag. It's expandable to 25 liters, actually. But Wandered did a Kickstarter a couple years ago for this backpack, and I contributed, and I got a bag, and then I got a second bag because I loved it so much. But I will say this, I did just get my hands on a smaller bag, and I might start exploring with this smaller bag because a lot of times we are jumping fences, we're jumping through windows, we're climbing on rooftops, like we're doing all this crazy acrobatic stuff, and having a big bag really slows you down and really weighs you down, and it's really hard to jump into a building whenever your bag is 25 pounds. So I just got gifted, I worked a seminar and they gave all the speakers these little shoulder bags, and they actually gave the video crew shoulder bags as well. So now we all have these smaller shoulder bags. So I might actually just start exploring with one of those instead of my typical big Wondered bag, but I'll still put a link in the description to the Wondered bag if you guys are interested in that. It makes for a great travel bag. It makes for a great urban exploring bag. It makes for a great photography bag. It's modular, so you can like take stuff out, put stuff in. Camera cube is included, so there's a place to put all your lenses and your camera, or you can take that out. You can put clothes in there. You can put whatever you want in the backpack. But definitely check out that bag. I highly, highly, highly recommend it to everybody. I used to go through bag after bag after bag. I used to have 1 to 2 new bags a year because my bags would just fall apart. They just couldn't handle what I was throwing at them. But this Wondered bag is really the highest quality bag that I have ever had. And so like I said, I highly recommend you getting one. So now that you have a bag, you have a respirator, and you have a light, what else do you need, really? Well, you're going to want a camera, of course. If you guys are exploring for the purpose of creating content like I am, you're going to want a good camera. I currently shoot on a Sony a7S Mark II. If you guys want to get one, I will put an Amazon link down in the description. Thankfully, with Amazon, most of the time you can actually pay with PayPal credit. So if you guys I'm not advising you to pay with credit. If you have cash to pay for something, you should always do it that way. But if you have consistent work and you want to use your PayPal credit, you can do that through Amazon so that you can pay it off monthly. Just don't get behind on payments because interest and all that stuff. Just, you know what? Scratch that. Just pay for it straight up with cash. Just pay for it. Don't use your credit. I think credit is the devil. It really is. So many people in this country, in America, are in debt. I don't know where you're listening from, but in America, I think it's like 70% of the country is in debt or some craziness like that. So definitely advise you to use cash where you can. But that's not what this podcast is about. If you want to listen to a financial podcast, listen to Smart Money, I don't know any of the names of the podcasts I listen to be honest with you. But I listen to a couple financial podcasts here and there. So definitely just look up financial podcast and you'll find some amazing stuff out there. So aside from your DSLR camera, I think it's important to have a smaller camera with you, like a GoPro. I have a GoPro Hero 8 Black Edition, and I also have a chest mount, a chesty as GoPro likes to call it. And I will mount that GoPro on my chest, and then I will do POV videos. That is something that has become very popular recently on YouTube, is these POV photography walkthrough videos. So definitely, if you are into making that type of content, I highly recommend you getting a GoPro. It's always nice to have a second camera with you as well, just in case, one camera dies or you run out of batteries or whatever. So definitely highly recommend a GoPro for you. Or a DJI has the action cam. Sony has an action cam as well, which is pretty good, but I personally just have a preference with the GoPro, so that's what I use. So the next piece of gear that I think you should have are a pair of gloves. I think that having a pair of gloves with you is super important because, again, you're going to be climbing over a fence or through a window or onto a roof. You're going to be touching stuff in this abandoned place, and you don't want that on your hands. Trust me. You don't. Whatever that is, whatever that substance is that you saw or that piece of paper you wanted to pick up and look at, you don't know what's on that. You don't know if there's germs of any kind, asbestos, toxic chemicals. You just don't know what's in these abandoned places. So I highly recommend you get a pair of gloves. Currently, I'm using a pair of tactical gloves, but you can really use any type of glove that you can get your hands on, or hands in, I guess I should say. But yeah, gloves are super important. If they have like a loop where the wrist is, so you can attach a carabiner, that's even better because then you can then attach the gloves to your backpack strap so that you don't have to like always be wearing them and you have somewhere to put them, because the worst thing that can happen is you drop one of your gloves while you're exploring, it falls out of your pocket, falls out of your backpack, whatever, and you never find it again. My motto is leave no trace, so we don't even want to leave our gloves behind in these abandoned places. But the next thing I will say that you should have is a buddy. You should bring a friend with you. You shouldn't really explore these places by yourself. And there's many different reasons for that. And I'm going to do a whole episode about exploring alone versus exploring with a buddy. So I'm not really going to get into it here, but what I will say here is that you should typically explore with somebody else, especially to places that you've never been to before. If you're going back to a place, maybe you can get away with going by yourself, but there's safety in numbers. So that's basically what it comes down to. Bring a buddy with you. That is on your packing list. Put your buddy in your backpack. Just do it. It's going to be okay. All right, so the next piece of gear I will tell you guys to bring would be a pair of shoes that are gonna be pretty sturdy. And I actually want to upgrade to get some work boots, like some construction boots to explore in, mostly because of nails. I almost stepped on a set of nails when I was in Rhode Island at a theme park, and that kind of opened my eyes. I was wearing some PF Flyers, which are not the greatest for urban exploring, but it was all I had at the time. And the nails just went straight up through my shoe and right between my toes. And I got super lucky that day because I would have probably gotten tetanus from these rusted nails. So definitely be careful where you're stepping. There are nails everywhere in these abandoned places. So get a pair of shoes that are going to withstand that if possible. Or just be super vigilant and be super careful. But a pair of shoes that are not PF Flyers. That's all I'm going to say. Just get a good pair of shoes. And then the next thing that I think you should have with you is water. Always bring water with you. Bring some snacks with you. Just put them in your backpack. Trust me, if for some reason, say, security guard shows up and you need to hide, or if a cop shows up and you need to hide, I'm not saying to hide from them, but if you do decide to hide, you're going to want some water, you're going to want some snacks. So definitely that. Also, if you're exploring for like 8-9 hours, you're going to want some snacks. You need to eat throughout the day. And along with eating, you need to clean your hands. So hand sanitizer and water always come in handy. For ladies that are exploring, I always advise to bring some napkins or toilet paper and tampons with you, because you never know when you're going to start your period. I mean, you might have like an app for that, but usually it's like 1 or 2 days off every month. So it's never really consistent ever. We were just kind of guessing when it comes to that kind of stuff, but definitely bring that stuff because one, toilet paper is nice to clean yourself with, and tampons are always nice to have on hand because you or maybe your friend that's exploring with you, maybe they start their period in this abandoned place. What are you going to do? Are you going to leave? No, you're going to just get a tampon, throw it in there. You're going to be fine. It's going to be great. No worries. And then the next thing that I think you should bring with you, and this is kind of a controversial thing, but I always bring a pocket knife with me just because, again, you never know what's going to happen in an abandoned place. What if you get caught on something and you need to cut your shirt? Or what if there is a crazy methed out fucking person in this abandoned place? You're going to want something to defend yourself with. Even if it's just a little pocket knife, like that can most of the time deter somebody from, coming after you or attacking you. So definitely pick up a pocket knife if you would be interested in doing something like that. But just keep in mind the local laws of your area or the area you're exploring in. You never know what the laws are until you look them up. In California, you can't really have switchblades. So definitely don't carry a switchblade with you. Spring-assisted knives are not legal in this state. You have to have manual or gravity knives. So yeah, if you are going to bring a knife with you, just make sure you know the local laws, because if a cop pulls you out of that abandoned place and sees that you have a switchblade with you, they're probably going to A, confiscate it, and B, they might take you in for having it in your possession. So just know that that is a possibility. And with all urban exploring, there's always a possibility and a huge risk of getting caught. So yeah, you just have to always keep that in mind, in the back of your mind, that, hey, you could get caught today. You never know what's going to happen. So, but yeah, knives are cool. Knives are great, and safety first. I wouldn't bring a gun with you. I would not explore with guns. I think that's a bad idea. I think that if you have a gun on you, you are more likely to use it. So yeah, don't bring a gun with you. It's a bad idea. But other than that, I think that if you are into creating cool content, I think smoke grenades can be super cool in abandoned places, especially for photography. If you're in a well-lit area, if it's darker inside, it's pointless to have smoke grenades. I just explored 3 really dark places recently that I brought smoke grenades with me, but I ended up not using them. And the other thing you have to keep in mind is that if you do have a smoke grenade, those are flammable. They can catch things on fire. If you catch this building on fire, you are going to be responsible for it. So just keep that in mind. But smoke grenades make for really cool photography. So if you're into that, definitely pick up some smoke grenades. Smoke Effect actually has sponsored me, so I am going to recommend Smoke Effect smoke grenades to you guys. I'll put a link to their stuff down in the description if you want to pick up some smokes. And then what else? What else should you bring to abandoned places? What else should be in your backpack? Let's see. We got the respirator, we got gloves, we have water, we have a light, we have smoke grenades, camera, GoPro, hand sanitizer. That's super important. Snacks, water. Honestly, like, the lighter you can pack when it comes to urban exploring, the better. Some people bring rope with them in case you need to climb down something or climb up something to get in or out. I have rope in my trunk, in the trunk of my car, just in case I need it. So those are the things that I think are most essential when it comes to exploring abandoned places. I'm sure there's tons of more stuff that I'm missing out on. And if you have suggestions and recommendations, leave me a comment on Instagram at @KAnagonio. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear what kind of stuff you bring with you to abandoned places. And if I'm missing something, please let me know. I would like to address it in a future episode. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you got some information out of it. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode of No Tracers, the podcast. My name is Anagonio. You can check my stuff out at youtube.com/JustTheLetterK or at JustTheLetterK.com. And I have a book out about urban exploring called No Tracers, an Urban Explorer's Diary. If you guys pick up a copy from JustTheLetterK.com/No Tracers, I will send you a signed copy of that book. Thank you guys for listening. If you're new, hit that subscribe button so you get notified when the next episode comes out. Other than that, I'll talk to you soon. Go out, go create something, and leave no trace.